Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And today is Taco Tuesday.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos. It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yummity yum. It's like a dream. Yum, 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 yummity yum. Bring your sour cream.
Ooh, that's right, Taco Tuesday, where we're going to enjoy some good old tacos tonight. I believe if my son-in-law is correct and is up to it, I believe we're going to be having some fish tacos tonight. So that is going to be good. If you enjoy celebrating Taco Tuesday, let us know what kind of tacos are you going to have today, or what kind of tacos would you like to have today. We try to do something a little different every Tuesday, and it also helps that because it's kind of a thing now. Like a lot of restaurants, not a lot, but a few, enough. How about that? Enough restaurants now do specials on Tuesdays. Just a way to try and encourage people to kind of come on in and eat tacos. Anyway, so we'll see how that goes. But anyway, let us know if you have a particular taco that you enjoy. Please go ahead, let us know. We would love to hear from you. Mike is not going to be with us today. Mike was on vacation over the weekend and literally was just landing as we began the program. So he is going to be kind of probably unpacking and having a good time, recovering from his vacation, from his weekend. So we'll let him off. We'll let him off this time. We will cut him some slack, shall we say? In any case, we're going to have a good time because we're going to talk about whatever is going on. So, but before we do that, you know what we have to do first. That's right. Got to start with a quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with the folks over at Hitman Industries. They sell rifle and pistol caliber barrels available at any length. All you have to do is go to hitmanindustries.net. If you've purchased an AR in the last few years, there's a good chance you already have one of their barrels. So why not get another one? Of course. Also want to talk about the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives at all level of government. From school board all the way up to President of the United States, they are working to help elect conservatives. Go to their website. It's cragop.org. That's cragop.org. Go to their website. Check them out. Trust me, you will find it is the conservative of the conservatives there at CRA. In fact, Ronald Reagan once referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. So why don't you check them out today? Because if you want to be a part of California's future today, you gotta join CRA. And then you've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market at hogholsters.com. Just go to HAWG holsters.com. That's hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word, just like it is right up there, and you're going to get a nifty little discount. So check it out today, helping Americans wear guns. And then finally, if you need new tactical gear, you need to go to uscombatgear.com. They have the best selection on the market. They have competitive pricing, once again, on the market, the best customer service on the market, and they specialize in group sales. So get your agency together, get your club together, get your department together, whatever. Get together and get on over to uscombatgear.com where you can find all things tactical except the gun. Now, if you're watching this program live, that would be 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, then you know that we are following your comments. I'm looking right over here in the chat, see if anybody's got anything to say. If you're interested, if you just want to give a shout out, let us know where you're watching the program from. Would love to hear from you. If you have a comment about the program, maybe you like it, maybe you don't, let us know. We would love to hear from you. Just know that you don't have to agree with us in order for us to find or agree with me in order for me to find your comment interesting and to share it. But do know this, that, we prefer for you actually to disagree because that gives us the opportunity to mock you.
Oh wow, is that a mockingbird?
Man, is that a mockingbird? Is that a mockingbird?
Yep, that's right. We love to mock because, well, mocking is fun. It is. Anyway. All right, let's go ahead and get into today's stories. We're going to start off here. We know that in the city of Chicago, and we know in certain states that we know that the left is definitely more interested in defending illegal immigrants than they are interested in, or not defending illegal, defending criminals. How about that? They care less about people who break crimes than they do about people who enforce them. And Illinois has, well, let's just say that they have put that belief to the test and passed a new law that will severely restrict where folks can actually where the ICE agents can actually conduct their business. And here's a J.D. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, kind of well, he's speaking in a press conference after signing. I don't know if this is after signing the bill or before signing the bill, but this is definitely in relation to the bill.
Over the past few months, the Chicago region has been subjected to a relentless campaign of cruelty and intimidation and abuse at the hands of ICE and Border Patrol agents under the command of President Trump and condoned by the Republican Congress. Our people have been forced to live in fear. Everyday activities like dropping off the kids at school, going to the park with your family, going to the doctor, showing up at your job has meant risking your safety and your livelihood. Fear and intimidation have been visited upon us by fellow Americans. It's unconstitutional. It's not the Illinois or the America that I know. Our nation is better than this. Standing here today with friends and neighbors, small business people, advocates, community activists, partners in government, and the General Assembly, I'm here today to sign into law an expansion of legal protections for the people of Illinois. Together, we're sending a message to Donald Trump, to Kristi Noem, to Gregory Bavino, and anyone else seeking to terrorize our people. Your divisiveness and your brutality are not welcome here.
Now, I want to be clear. When he says to protect the people of Illinois, he's referring to the illegal immigrants in Illinois. He is not talking about law-abiding citizens. That is not who he was referring to when he says he's there to protect them. Because, in fact, according to Fox News, dude has been responsible for 1,700 criminal illegal aliens being released from jail there in the state of Illinois.
Report now on sanctuary policies in the state of Illinois. Immigration and Customs Enforcement saying that Governor Pritzker is overseeing the release of more than 1,700 dangerous criminal illegal aliens since the 20th of January, including murderers, pedophiles, and kidnappers, sending them back into neighborhoods and putting American lives at risk. It is turnstile justice, and there's more of that coming up.
So, to be clear, because see, here's what happens. What's happening in these particular cases is people are actually, they have a list of folks that have either been charged with crimes or already have detainers against them, meaning they're already supposed to be deported, or something along those lines. Now, in sanctuary cities or sanctuary states, they go in and, well, they can't work with law enforcement, so they have to basically go where they think these folks are. And when they find them, if there are other people who are illegal immigrants with them, they take them too, if they are in the country illegally. Anyway, all that having been said, this new law that was just passed that he has now signed into law and he has now signed into law is going to restrict where and when they're going to be able to do these arrests. And this is, I'm pulling this one from CNN. It says here, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker on Tuesday signed a law prohibiting federal officials from taking enforcement actions against immigrants near courthouses, in hospitals, on college campuses, or in daycare facilities. The law, which takes effect immediately, is in response to the Trump administration's crackdown on immigration in the Chicago area, launched in September. The law also provides for legal steps for those whose constitutional rights were violated during the enforcement action, including a $10,000 in damages for someone unlawfully arrested while attempting to attend a court proceeding. Dropping your kids off at daycare, going to the doctor, or attending your classes should not be a life-altering task, Pritzker said at a bill signing in a largely Latino neighborhood in Chicago, Illinois. Illinois, in the face of cruelty and intimidation, has chosen solidarity and support. That's pretty much what he said. Now, mind you, once again, this has nothing to do with protecting the people of Chicago, because guess what? The people of Chicago, if you are a citizen, you are not being arrested. They want you to believe that they're arresting citizens, but they're not. There's no evidence that they are. They want you to believe that they're going into schools and into daycares, but they are not. The one instance which they talk about, oh yeah, it was a daycare worker. It wasn't a daycare worker. It was someone who was attempting. It was someone who was. They were attempting to detain someone. Person tried to run down the officer and then ran out of the car, ran into a daycare and attempted to barricade themselves inside. And they went in. Once again, person didn't have a kid in the daycare. And the person ran and barricaded themselves in there. So it's a flat out lie. And most of what they're talking about, most of what they're basing a lot of these policies and a lot of their rhetoric on is lies. We know that they are lies. It's not a mystery that it's lies. We know, you and I know it's lies. It be lies. But yet they keep doing it. They keep saying it. And once again, now the question is, so what happens if an officer does do this? What happens if they do arrest somebody in a courthouse? Who's going to arrest them? Is Chicago PD going to arrest ICE officers? Are they going to attempt to detain federal officers? I want to know. And I got a feeling that we're never going to find out, because I have a feeling what we're going to learn is that Chicago PD is going to say, yeah, no, we're not arresting anybody. And the federal government's going to say, we're not paying any of your fines. In fact, we're going to fine you. And we're going to arrest you if you impede our ability to do our jobs. That's what I believe the federal government is going to wind up doing. And that's what I believe they should do, if I'm being honest. And I always try to be honest with you. Yeah, these folks have lost their ever-loving minds. They honestly and truly have. And once again, these are all just political statements, because in the end, this is going to have literally no effect, because these things are not happening. Now, there are instances where someone is showing up to court, and I'm trying to get my arms around how exactly all of that works. So are you showing up to court? If you've already got a detainer, if you've already got a notice saying that you're supposed to be deported, then I don't know what you have a problem with. Now, if you're there as a part of your case and then being deported, I mean, I'd love to hear a little bit more about how that is all working out. The problem is that I can't trust the mainstream media when they talk about stuff like this, because they lie. They provide false information. I mean, they just flat out. I mean, I can't even begin to get into how many times they offer stuff that just is not so. It's ridiculous how often they are offering stuff up as news that is just not true. So when I see that, when I have someone send me, or the funniest part is, and I don't know if you guys ever get this. Why do people send me some, like, for example, rando on TikTok, some dude who's reporting on something, no news attribution, no nothing, no links to an actual news story or report or a study or anything. Just some dude rattling off stuff, and they're like, see, and I'm like, who's that? what qualifies him? You know, how do I know he's telling you the truth? For the same thing, by the way, I'll tell you. That's why I show you the stories, because I want you to know. I'm just telling you what I'm reading, what I'm seeing, right? I'm trying to help you understand the stories based on what I know. But in the end, I too am just some rando on YouTube, on Rumble, on, you know. Now, I've been doing this for a while. I've been doing news analysis and policy analysis for a while. You know me and trust me, but I wouldn't expect you to send me this video as evidence to anybody. I would encourage you to send the articles that I send to you, that I share with you. I would encourage you to send those to them. Right? But anyway, I'm getting off my subject. The point here being is that I don't, when they talk about some of these instances, for example, I would think that if citizens were being deported, it'd be all over the news, and you never hear about it. You never hear about it. Citizens being detained for significant periods of time. I've heard one, maybe two stories of that being the case. Because, you know, and I get it. I don't walk around with proof of citizenship on me. I have my driver's license. You know, in some places that's enough for proof of citizenship. I don't know. California doesn't, because we give anybody driver's licenses. Evidently, we give anybody commercial driver's licenses. So I don't know that it's proof. I don't know that it's proof of anything. Anyway, let's see here. We have Charles. I am Charles. I really Ramakati. Ramakati. Anyway, I apologize if I'm butchering your names. He says they can't, and I'm glad, because it's a loon libtard state led by libtard mayor and governor. Yes, you are 100%. You are 100% true, and I apologize once again if I have butchered your name. If you want to in the comments, go ahead and spell it out phonetically. That'll help me out. I butcher names all the time, bruh. I don't know what to tell you. I wish I was better. I wish I was better at names, but I'm not. But yeah, this is, I mean, anyway, it's crazy. It's crazy what they're trying to do. And once again, understand this. They are protecting criminals. 1,700 criminal illegals have been released. Over 100 involved in violent crimes. Well over 100 involved in violent crimes. 5 murderers have been released into Illinois. They're out there somewhere. They're somewhere, evidently, more than likely, in Chirac. Y'all know, that's what we call, Chicago. We call it Chirac. But yeah, they've been released into the wild, and but yet they passed a law that's protecting the people of Illinois. I don't get it. Maybe y'all get it. If y'all live out there and you get these folks, I for one do not get it. But here, let me make sure that y'all, because since I said you want to check this stuff out, let me make sure that I make sure you get a copy of the story. Put it right there in the comments. There you go. All right, next we have. Okay, I knew I was pretty comfortable when they started reporting on what was going on in the state of when they talked about what was going on in the state of Maine, or not Maine, in the state of Minnesota, with all of the fraud. I think I knew, and I think y'all knew that that probably isn't the only state where it was happening. I did not suspect that. Well, I didn't suspect that some of the same folks would. Well, I probably should have expected that some of the same folks would still be involved. But needless to say, it's another blot on the Somali community, as another organization is basically being accused of doing the same exact stuff that was occurring in Minnesota. It's now happening in Maine.
I thought that we were doing the right thing this whole time. And the more I started digging, the more I started finding. And I just couldn't believe what I was seeing, that this was happening and that I was part of this.
Chris Bernardini spent 7 years working for Gateway Community Services, a Somali American-led health services contractor in Maine. Bernardini alleges Gateway oversaw a system in which false records were filed about client visits, and he says they charged taxpayers for providing services that were never performed.
We started getting some clients calling and saying, months later that their client owed them hours. They hadn't come in for these shifts and stuff, but I had a time card for it.
And they were billing for it.
They were billing for it.
In March of 2022, Gateway received a notice of violation from the state's Maine Care Services Program Integrity Unit based on an audit of records taken at random from January 2017 through December of 2018. Gateway overbilled by an estimated $904,000.
In your professional opinion, what you saw was fraud.
Absolute.
No doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
But Bernardini says when the pandemic hit, it got worse.
I started seeing bonuses, $2,000 bonuses going to these staff that had only been with us for 2 weeks, never worked a shift with a client. And yet the PPP loan comes, you're giving $2,000 away like they're lollipops at a doctor's office.
In April of 2024, Bernardini wrote to the Department of Homeland Security seeking whistleblower protection. They referred him back to the state of Maine. Nearly a year later, Gateway fired Bernardini. The company's founder and CEO is Abdullahi Ali, a Somali American who, while at the time serving as executive director for Gateway, last year ran for president of Jubaland, a state in Somalia's south that borders Kenya. Last week, he posted on X, "I make no apologies for building a successful business in Maine, working hard to earn a living, earning my PhD, giving back to my Maine community, and running for office in Jubaland. I am proud to contribute my hard-earned dollars to support my people back home." We reached out to Ali for comment multiple times. We even came to Gateway to try and speak with him.
Hello, I'm with News Nation. My name is... No comment? Is Mr. Ali here? Can we speak with Mr. Ali?
Republican State Senator Matt Harrington has called on Governor Janet Mills to investigate.
It's just an absolute insult to the Maine taxpayer. That we know that there's this Medicaid fraud going on by Gateway Community Services. We're seeing nothing from the Mills administration on this, and I think it's appalling.
I still can't believe it. I still can't believe I took so much of my time and put so much of my life into this agency that just tossed me aside. It's caused me to reflect a lot and, try to trust my gut more and speak up more when I see something.
So, that once again, that was up to almost $1 million. The one instance, and remember, he said it got worse when the pandemic hit. So this is something that's been going on for years. It was pre-pandemic and during the pandemic, and evidently it's still going on. And right now, nobody in Maine seems to be wanting to do anything about it. And I'm guessing that it's the same exact thing as what happened in Minnesota. As soon as you say something, well, this is a Somali-owned company, and if you say something, you're racist. Now, I don't know what the Somali voting population is in Maine. I don't know if it's as significant as it is in Minnesota, but I'm pretty sure that if they're stealing this kind of money, I'll bet you there's a lot of political money coming from the Somali community in this particular case. I think if you look, and once again, it's not just Somalis who are doing this. I am quite confident that if you start digging in places like California, in places like New York, I think we're going to find hundreds of billions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars, have been stolen during the pandemic because there were no rains. We already know that on unemployment, for example, something like 20 or $30 billion was stolen in California alone. Some of it was, you had unemployment checks going to people who are in prisons. And once again, that's just that we know of, right? They were so quickly. I mean, if you want to know why we have the level of inflation that we had during the Biden administration, it was because we were sending money out hand over fist. We were, whether it was PPP loans, whether it was these programs that were supposed to be benefiting people that weren't, funding these programs, we weren't which by the way, we had no checks and balances on, whether it was unemployment, whatever it was, we were just shoving money, whether it was in those, what do they call it, the COVID checks, I forget what we call them, stimulus checks. That's right, we call them stimulus checks. They were just sending money out. They weren't checking to see if people actually needed money. They were just sending them to anybody. And when you flood the economy with a bunch of money, right, you wind up with too much money chasing too few goods. Because keep in mind, we also, a lot of businesses shut down, so we weren't producing as much. We weren't transporting as much. We had that big issue at the LA ports where ships got backed up. Right? You literally, once again, you had too much money. You had a whole bunch of money chasing too few goods. And the law of supply and demand will tell you when that happens, prices go up. It ain't rocket science. It's not. It's basic law of economics. If you ever get a chance, just go get Thomas Sowell's book. It's called Basic Economics. You will learn all about it. It will help, trust me, it will help you better understand the economy and understand why, by the way, why we're dealing with what we're dealing with right now. Because I think a lot of people are blaming President Trump. They're like, why haven't prices gone down? And I'm like, well, I get it. He said he was going to bring prices down, and in some areas he has. But overall, unless you get negative inflation, which is deflation, the best you can do is stabilize prices. And you don't want massive deflation either, right? You don't, because massive deflation then leads to recession. Anyway, so prices aren't necessarily going to go down. What we've got to do is get earnings up and hold inflation down. And I'm hoping the president now is out. He's going on a tour where he's going to be talking about stuff, and I'm hoping he explains that. I don't think he will, because no offense to President Trump, but he's not very good at explaining complex ideas, right? He's just not. He never has been. He just said, the economy's doing great. And it is. The economic indicators are there, but prices are still high. Now, they're not going up the way they were, but prices are still high. And the other thing is as I noted the other day when we were talking about this, one of the challenges is people are expecting, they're not comparing prices to what they were last year, because if they were, they'd realize prices haven't gone up that much. They would realize gas prices are way down. They would realize egg prices are way down. But meat prices are still high. But prices are, in general, though, are still high. Don't know what to tell you. They're just not going up as fast. Anyway, I have a gentleman here, and he is. I'm probably gonna have to delete his comment because he's commenting in Spanish. And if he's commenting in Spanish, that means that means it's probably more than likely just spam. And then we've got American Crossfire is here. He said, American Crossfire says, I think there's a lot of Medicaid fraud going on in every state. We are a large ship. It takes a long time to turn it. No, first of all, you're 100% correct. But once again, whenever you have somebody giving stuff away, there's going to be waste, fraud, and abuse. There is. There just is. And you have some people who've come here from countries where part of the way you subsist is by getting over on the government. I hate to say it, but that's what you do. It's not every culture, and it's not everybody in that culture. But it's not an uncommon thing in the Somali community. I mean, think about this. Of the 87 that have been arrested in Minnesota and convicted, only 8 were not Somalian. So think about that. Only 8. Now, keep in mind, these are the very same people that are basically stopping and attempting to rob ships that are sailing past Somalia, trying to steal from them. Once again, it's not every Somalian, but there's enough of it to where it's noticeable. I wish President Trump had been a little more articulate in expressing his concerns about this cultural trend that seems to be among many Somalians. I wish he had been a little bit more presidential in how he presented the issue, because I think he gave a sweeping generalization that is not necessarily. I mean, but let's put it this way. First of all, generalizations happen sometimes because, or stereotypes happen sometimes because there's a kernel of truth there sometimes, culturally. And I think in this particular case, he's telling the truth. And when you look at, in particular, Ilhan Omar, who seems to complain about the United States so much, saying it's the worst place in the world, I'm still trying to figure out what the hell she's doing here. I mean, this is a woman who 4 years ago was worth $65,000, is now somewhere. The range that they have given is between $6 and $30 million. But America's the worst place in the world. Go figure. Anyway, you remember that the section that that's going to be existing within the Civil Rights Department within the DOJ? Well, our friend over at Bearing Arms, Mr. Cam Edwards, is raising a significant question, and I think he's 100% justified. It's a question that's not just being raised by him, but being raised also by folks over at GOA, that's Gun Owners of America, as well as the folks over at the Firearms Policy Coalition, raising questions about some of the things that the Trump administration is doing and why they're not taking a full-throated support for the Second Amendment. Now, they're saying it, but there's some things that they're doing that are kind of off. And here in his piece, does DOJ's new Second Amendment section, does it come with a catch? It says more than a week after news broke about the Department of Justice creating a new section in the Civil Rights Division focusing on the Second Amendment issues, Attorney General Pam Bondi has made it official. The section will be overseen by Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon, who heads up the Civil Rights Division and has already taken an active role in challenging the lengthy wait times for concealed carry permits in Los Angeles, as well as bans on assault weapons and large capacity magazines in Illinois and New Jersey. In a video shared on X, Dillon discussed the scope of the new section. As Fox News notes, it appears that the Second Amendment section will focus exclusively on fighting state and municipal control laws. Now, here's where I'm agreeing with him. It says, I'm glad to see that the sky-high cost of carry in places like Santa Clara County, California, are on Dillon's radar. But if the new Second Amendment section will take on only state and local gun laws, while leaving federal gun controls unquestioned, it will be a lost opportunity to protect our civil right and keep right to keep and bear arms from federal intrusion. The DOJ's unwillingness to challenge federal gun laws has been a major gripe of 2A organizations like Gun Owners of America and the Firearms Policy Coalition, and rightfully so. In President Trump's executive order on protecting the Second Amendment, the president directed Attorney General Pam Bondi to examine all orders, regulations, guidance, plans, international agreements, and other actions of executive departments and agencies to assess any ongoing infringements of the Second Amendment rights of our citizens and present a proposed plan of action to the president through the Domestic Policy Advisor to protect the Second Amendment right of Americans. Bondi was also specifically directed to assess the positions taken by the United States in any and all ongoing and potential litigation that affects or could affect the ability of Americans to exercise Second Amendment rights. Since that directive was issued in February and Bondi had a 30-day deadline, she and her staff have presumably completed those tasks. And it's true that the DOJ has reversed the position on the Biden administration in a few cases. The DOJ acknowledges, for example, that suppressors are protected by the Second Amendment. It also but it's still defending the tax and regulation and registration requirements for NFA items, as well as the National Firearms Act itself. The DOJ has declined to appeal lower court decision that held 18 to 20-year-olds should be able to purchase handguns at retail instead of waiting until 21 as federal law requires. Even so, Solicitor General D. John Sewer has urged the Supreme Court to hold on to several cases challenging the ban on handgun sales to its under 21 until the court issues its opinion in Wolford v. Lopez and U.S. v. Hermani next year. If the justices follow his request, the delay granting cert to 4 cases addressing gun control laws aimed at under 21, they'll most likely remand those cases back to the lower courts after granting cert and vacating the previous decisions. And it could be several more years before those challenges reach the Supreme Court again. There are enough state and local infringements on our Second Amendment's rights to keep DOJ's new section busy for the rest of President Trump's term, but it doesn't mean that every federal gun control law should go unchallenged. And I have to say, I happen to agree with him. Because in a lot of these cases, once again, if the federal government removes its opposition, then the decisions that have been made will go forward. Now, the other thing, though, is in some of these cases, we actually do. I would rather the federal government let the case get to the Supreme Court, because I want a Supreme Court ruling. Because right now, if the case's decision, for example, is made in an appellate court, well, then it only really affects the jurisdictions that are within that district. So I'd like to see it go a little bit further. Anyway, I just think that there are some things that the Trump administration, that the people who are heading some of these things, they're good lawyers. I know Harmeet Dillon. I know she is a good lawyer. I know she believes in fundamental rights. I know she believes in the right to keep and bear arms. I know that she is used to fighting local municipalities and states and fighting for our rights. So I know she's going to do a phenomenal job. But if they are not at the same time considering, well, what about some of these federal laws? Some of these federal positions? They've got to rethink those. And Pam Bondi, I'm sorry, I'll just tell you, Pam Bondi is going to do what the president tells her to do. Pam Bondi is not. I have no belief that Pam Bondi. I don't know if she's pro-gun. I don't know if she's anti-gun. I just know she's pro-Trump, and she's going to do what Trump tells her. I don't know if she's going to do it right. I don't know if she's going to do it well. I really don't. Sorry, I don't. I just look at the like how they've botched this whole going after Comey thing. I do not have a lot of confidence in Pam Bondi. But I do know that she's loyal to Trump. So there's that. Anyway, moving right along, I have to wonder what this woman is thinking. When I say by this woman, I'm referring to Jasmine Crockett, who is now officially announced that she is going to be running, or not that she's going to be running, she is running to be the next senator from the great state of Texas. Ooh. It's now or never. Jasmine Crockett joins the race for U.S. Senate in Texas. After weeks of speculation, North Texas U.S. Representative Jasmine Crockett officially announced her U.S. Senate bid to unseat Republican incumbent John Cornyn in South Dallas Monday. The two-term Congresswoman has represented Texas's 30th congressional district since 2023, garnering national attention for her outspoken criticism of Donald Trump. No, she's become known for being ghetto as AF. Ghetto AF. That's what I'll say. Y'all know what AF means. The two often have feuded on social media over issues including healthcare, food assistance, and housing. No, they have not. She just calls him racist, and anyone who supports him racist. I don't see any real dueling, anyway. I don't see her really talking about issues Anyway, during her announcement, she said her gloves have been off and now it's time to jump in the ring. Yeah, you put your gloves on before you jump in the ring. Anyway, I could have played it safe, she said, but I don't choose to do that because Texas, this moment we're in now is life or death, and it's all or nothing. It's now or never. Well, let me just be frank with you. And I don't live in Texas. I know plenty of people from Texas, and if she thinks she is going to win Texas, she has lost her damn mind. I'll just be really, really frank about that. She has most definitely lost her mind. Let's see. Oh, here we go. We have American Crossfires one. He says, I know it's off topic, but do you still do a firearms related show? If so, where can it be found? Actually, I have not been doing a firearms related show. Mike, however, does do a radio show called Arms Room Radio. If you Google it, you will find it. Working on launching another program called 2A News with Craig DeLuz. Hoping to have that up and running by the beginning of the year. If that's something that you would be interested in checking out, let me know. But it'll be a lot like Morning Coffee with Craig was. Some interviews, some stories. It's not going to be like a rundown like we do here. Some guests, some not. But do want to kind of get back into doing some more of the 2A stuff like that. You also asked, is she losing her House seat due to redistricting? She did get redistricted out of her seat. Now, I don't know about Texas, but I do know that in California, you don't have to live in your district in order to run. So, in other words, and I've seen this happen because the guy who represents me has never lived in the area that is the 6th congressional district. Now he's running in another district after the redistricting. Now he's running in another district that he does not live in. So, anyway, that'll be interesting. So yes, but she got redistricted out of her seat. If anybody out there lives in Texas, let me know. Do you have to actually live in the seat? I know you probably do. Like in California, you do have to live in the district to run for local and state, just not for federal office. Anyway, it will be very, very interesting because I am not a John Cornyn fan, but I would support him over her in a heartbeat. That ain't much of a question right there. Anyway. All right, folks, that now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown. All caps, no spaces, one word. Get your Hog Holster today. Once again, I know how y'all love lists, and I know how y'all love the Babylon Bee, so that's going to be what we're going to talk about today. Suck at raising kids. Here are top 15 tips to be a perfect parent. Number 1. When they say they're hungry, pretend you're thinking they're telling you their name. This is for dads only. Okay. Introduce them to the Beastie Boys. Oh, yes. As a parent, you have to introduce your kids. If you have not introduced your children to the Beastie Boys, something's wrong with you. Do the opposite of what your parents did with you. Yeah, we've done that sometimes. There are some cases where that's true. Don't, under any circumstances, allow your babies to sleep on their stomachs. I don't. Okay, don't understand what's that. Vicariously try to live your pro sports dreams through them. Yeah, that's a no-no. Do not do that. Okay, this list is a very, very bad list. I know it's supposed to be funny. So far, I'm not finding it very funny. I have to talk to my producer about this one. Outsource all training and education to YouTube and TikTok. Yeah, a lot of parents have done that. Blame your spouse when things go wrong. Oh, most definitely. Because, see, my kids are perfect. My wife's kids, not so much. If estranged from your spouse, dress up as pass off all the difficult stuff like discipline to your spouse. Mission accomplished. Try to, destroy them at Super Smash Brothers on a regular basis. Whatever you play, you've got to destroy the kids. You got to beat them up. Got to beat them down. You cannot allow them to have a victory at your expense. Throw throw the Galactic Empire into the reactor core. Throw the Galactic Emperor into the reactor core. Okay, Star Wars reference, not very funny. Teach them the Bible using anthropomorphic vegetables that called VeggieTales, and keep them the same gender they were when they were born. Sadly, that last one actually had to be said. I know. All right, folks, I have to apologize. That wasn't very funny. Admittedly, I was late setting up the show, and I had to find something quick. I sorry. I let you down. I will do better. Anyway. All right, folks, that's going to bring us to the end of the program. But before we go, we're going to give one more quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with the folks over at Hitman Industries, rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at hitmanindustries.net. The California Republican Assembly, the conscience of the Republican Party. Check them out at cragop.org. We've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market at hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. And then we've got uscombatgear.com, the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun. All right, folks, that's going to be it for today. We will be back tomorrow on Hump Day. Till then, y'all have fun. Y'all stay safe. Once again, we will see you mañana.